Hi, welcome back to a reading back in the homeland of my my tiny home here. I feel a little bit disjointed all of a sudden. It can kind of, you can call that what you will, just some sort of interference or whatever. But I wanted to come on and do a reading. I was really motivated. So even though I was experiencing a little bit of what felt like interference, I'm pushing through that. And I was getting a little bit frustrated with my inability to work at my altar because the heater is so loud. And so one of the ways I decided to kind of deal with that was to take some of my work. This is a freehand skeleton drawing I did from Still Life. There was somewhere at PSU that had a skeleton installation in some kind of shadow box like settings, and we did some plein air drawing and painting of those skeletons at one point, and I can't remember if I did this there. This is all freehand. I just did this very quickly, and I have 4 of these. They were, in fact, I did not do that at PSU in plein air. I actually worked off of skeleton drawings. That's right. It's coming back to me now because dog symbolism and dog spirits often show up in my dreams. They're really deep symbols of loyalty. They mean a lot to a lot of people. And at the time that I did this installation, the theme was winter, and I'm not sure why. It was a little bit of a subconscious process for me, but I chose dogs and wanted to work with dog skeletons and dog bones in the installation, and this is one of them. I have 4 of these, and they're never out anymore because they were only shown as part of the installation. There's also a lunar part that's folded over here. You can't see it, but maybe I'll do another one where the lunar phase is showing. That's paper mixed with fabric here. You can see that this is just some I don't know why my words are failing me all of a sudden. I did not feel this interference earlier, but I'm feeling it now. Cotton muslin fabric. And anyways, I just kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit and try to dress this up in a way that felt better for me to be working in here versus working at my altar. And I like to just showcase my work sometimes. So I did, like I said, 4 of these, and I just did these very quick illustrative paintings. This is just with I think Higgins bottled ink is what I did these with, but I liked how they turned out. So anyways, I'm just going to cleanse the space here with a little bit of rose water, and then we'll get going. And this is just going to be intended to be a general reading. Whatever comes out, whatever wants to come out will come out here. My cat is once again obsessed with trying to get up here. That's the other problem of having to read over here, is that my cat just gets insistent on trying to be a part of it, but it's too disruptive, and so he gets really frustrated with me at some point. Gosh, I'm already too hot. That's the other thing, is that the temperature in here, it's just beyond time for me to move out of this place. I'm excited because I've got plans formulating about a possible move, and in the meantime I just have to remember how lucky I am that I have a place to live and a warm place to lay my head at night, and I very much am grateful for that. So I hope you're doing well out there. I hope you're navigating the winter well. This is also the time of year where I live in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, Turtle Island. It's very rainy here in this part of the state, and by this time of year, I'm already very fatigued with the rain and the gray and ready for some sun and warmer weather. I just end up feeling kind of limited in the space with this weather and all of the, there's a lot of reasons to be anxious right now with bird flu, and, it's just a lot. We're facing a lot as a planet. And so maybe I'm picking up on some of that energy. Is just the frustration and weariness of the collective and not knowing what's to come. Trying to have trust in our maker, right? And I just thank you for being here and supporting my creative work. And I also want to, again, thank the people that donated to my GoFundMe that helped me go to the Gulf Coast conference that I just attended. It felt really good to attend that conference, so I thank you. And it also feels good to be home. I missed my animals for sure. Oh, here's a stray card. Interesting. I didn't even notice that. The Ace of Swords. So that's a nice card to see. This is going to be giving us some clarity here. Whatever comes out in this layout, clarity is highlighted. And we just had that new moon in Aquarius, which probably served to bring you in some needed clarity. It featured prominently in the last layout I did. So let's see what else is wanting to come out here in this general layout. Thank you again. Sending love out there. My name is Cynthia. So on the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands. So some clarity about what makes us feel creative and what ignites our passion, right? New opportunities, new passions, new creative fire. It could even indicate new sexual relationships, right? Clarity about something in those arenas. Wow, isn't that interesting? Look at this, the bones against the bones here of this dog skeleton. And where we had the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck, here we have the Two of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. So let's just keep going here with the Tetractys. Oh boy, there's been this collective, or you, if this is going to get really specific, I can't quite tell yet. You've been really through it lately. It's been a very intense process for you of late in the realm of healing, in the realm of change and decisions, and possibly a romantic relationship, right? But definitely in the realm of choices and decisions. You feel pretty embattled. You're even approaching a further time of surrender. What's important is that clarity is highlighted here with this flyer stray card that wasn't even supposed to be in this deck. So it's important to know that if you are lacking clarity, it's coming. It's really highlighted here with this Ace of Swords. So you have felt the need to really protect yourself. This can get tense, this kind of protection where you may be too protected, too guarded, too withholding. But what I'm sensing is that with this Death card in the Facts position, it's important to protect yourself through a process like that. You don't want to be out there everywhere. And in fact, often the Death card, at least when it shows up for me, will force me to kind of stay home and go within and write it out. That's the way I tend to cope. I've often also coped by just smoking a lot of weed, right? Or trying to just hang on through what can feel like a really intense inner change or process, or feeling like everything around you is crumbling. It can be scary to go through a dying to the self or a dying to the old way that you've been living. And I'm sensing that you're really feeling the need for protection. And maybe that's partly why I felt the desire to bring out this dog skeleton, is dogs are also very protective of us if we have a domestic dog in our life, right? So you're at a threshold of change and you're in your head about it. You're having a lot of doubts, a lack of clarity. You're needing this Ace of Swords clarity, and it's coming. It's down to the bones of the matter, right? Bones are featured here twice. So it's the writing's on the wall, as I've said lately in a lot of different conversations. And I think I even used that phrase in my last reading. So it's gotten broken all the way down for you to the skeleton of the situation, or the bones of the situation, as you go through this change into the new. It's hard. I might have caught the collective, or you specifically, at a point where you're really struggling to maintain your hope, your optimism, clarity, again, like I've said, but it's here. Don't worry. You've been seeing clearly, even if it's scary or frightening, or you're not sure if you can make it. It's like you've known and do know that you need to go through this, but it's frightening. And because the change can feel so intense like this, it's easy to get in your head and start doubting. And that's probably why this Four of Pentacles here is that you feel like you really need to guard yourself and protect yourself. What's interesting too that I'm picking up on with the Marseille, and I never noticed it before, is it's got this kind of coat of arms here with these 3 fleur-de-lis images, and it's like a lower pip representation of the Emperor, which is number 4, and then the Empress, which is the number 3 in the major arcana. And the fleur-de-lis is a symbol of flowers, but also of lightning. And so that's really powerful. That's pretty powerful symbolism that I've never really picked up on before until this layout, particularly in the Marseille. So your vulnerability is King of Cups energy. So you feel like the King of Cups is often not very, he feels very deeply. He's very connected to his heart, but he often isn't out there emoting it and expressing it. He's kind of overcome that desire to just rush in like a fool or wear his heart on his sleeve, more like a Knight of Cups. He's more cautious. He's more careful. For you, it feels like a vulnerability to be this in your heart. You may feel, and I want to just acknowledge that I'm not reading reversals here. So it feels very vulnerable and perhaps foreign to you to be so in your feelings and in your heart center. You may be someone who's accustomed to being in the mind. And so it's a little weird for you to be so tapped into your heart. But it's, again, important that you understand that you are seeing clearly, even if you're doubting it. What I'm picking up is that it feels so foreign to you that you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is fucking intense. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this, or if I'm even... what I think is real is even real. And I think that's because there's so much emotion involved for you and why it's showing up in the vulnerability position. The very heart of this is the Temperance card. This might be a continuation of the last reading. And so if you haven't watched the last reading, it's worth going and checking that reading out, because Temperance was very highly aspected in that reading as well. And the reading even before it was kind of divine masculine Emperor energy. So maybe the last 2 readings are really resonated with you, or will resonate if you haven't watched them. The very heart of things is that it's a healing process, and so it's important to honor it. It's important to honor even that this 9 of Swords comes up at a time like this. It absolutely does for me. When I'm in a death card experience, I often have 9 of Swords thoughts, worries, doubts, because it brings a lot internally to the surface that you recognize and have to purge away. And it can also often be externally, like outside of you, where it just feels like everything's falling away and you have no control. At a time like that, it's really important to surrender. You're not in control with a death card experience. There are greater energetic forces at work. So surrender to what's going on, inner and outer, is really important here. The 10 of Swords often is considered like an awful card to see, but for me, it often is a welcome, direct Ace of Swords message that I need to surrender. There's bigger things happening and I just need to write it out and surrender to it. I can't control it. I can't try to bend it to my will, right? And that's kind of where your thoughts are, as you keep wondering, what do I do? Where should I go? Am I even on the right track? What are all these feelings? Why am I so pissed off all of a sudden? Those are all very classic expressions of this experience, at least for me, and I know for a lot of people. Your Strength card is the Lover's card. So in the Strength position, it highlights to me that you are empowered to make a wise choice. And it is in the realm of the heart because of the King of Cups. So to me, this does indicate a love relationship. You're healing and moving towards a love relationship that's sort of like, do you see here this angel in like almost like a Judgment Day angel image? Like, this is meant to be, like, this is something that's important. It feels very destined with this kind of major arcana link here up to this king. It's healing for you. It's a relationship that you may feel powerless over because it's so deeply felt by you. You may never have felt this way before, is kind of what I'm feeling. You may have never felt so in love, okay? It may be feeling like it's not a good thing, or that it's turning you upside down, or it's making you feel out of control. Maybe because it's foreign. Let this be a confirmation for you that it's okay. This is very healing. This is a healing process in spite of how intense it feels, and it's yielding something very beautiful for you, a very beautiful love relationship. You don't need to fear your heart center here. It feels very raw for you and very vulnerable. But if you can surrender to the healing, it's going to yield this beautiful outcome of this relationship. Surrender is key. The devil on your shoulder is saying stand your ground, and the angel on your shoulder is saying fight. So they're in harmony. Even if you're not sure, you are alchemizing your shadow self and your conscious mind, or if you want to call that like your frontal lobe, right? And the shadow is your subconscious, if we're speaking like in psychological terms. So it's really, really important that you know that you are in alignment here. You are being told by your devil to stand and fight and stand your ground, and also by your angel that it's important to fight. It's important for you to see this, whatever conflict has been keeping you from alchemizing this and moving towards this, it's important that you protect it. You might even be being called to defend this love, okay? I don't know. But with this King of Cups here, you have the power to do that. You've done the healing work that you need to do, and you may now need to protect the direction you're heading and your choice that you're making. It's calling for you to fight. The weird thing is, though, that it's also calling you to surrender to it. So let's get some clarity about that Ten of Swords. Like, I think what I'm saying is what it is, that you need to protect this process for yourself, but you also need to surrender to your heart. You don't need to fight your heart here, even though it feels foreign to you to be so in your heart. What about this Ten of Swords? Am I on to the vibe that it's trying to suggest here? That you just need to surrender to your feelings? What about the Ten of Swords? This may mean that you need to surrender to what it's asking of you, which is often like a risk. Like you feel like you're risking your heart a little bit. And it's saying you need to risk your heart. You can't be guarded if you're going to be open-hearted. You have to be discerning, but you can't block off your heart because you feel so vulnerable, right? That's what I think this Ten of Swords is getting at. But let's see here. What about this Ten of Swords, Spirit? The Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So you feel very weary and wounded. And this is a duplicate here with this Nine of Swords. Yeah, it's been something that you've had to kind of surrender to this spiritual process and let it reform you. Let it teach you. This is what the Hanged One tells us, right? Is to allow the process to unfold. This person in many interpretations has put themselves there as a rite of passage, and that's what this is speaking to me. It's saying that you're doing that. You're very weary, you're tired, but the Nine of Wands also indicates that you're succeeding, okay? What else about this Ten of Swords? Yeah, you're becoming in a place of mastery. Like, not only the king of the water element within you and the realm of the heart, even though this feels very vulnerable, by being willing to do this and surrender, you're becoming a hierophant. You're becoming a high priest. It's masculine energy here. You are in masculine energy, even if you don't identify bodily on the gender binary as a masculine person, right? You're in divine masculine energy. And by continuing to surrender and allow this process to reform you in a way, that word keeps coming through. It's like a reformation, like a reforming. It's okay to fight for it and protect it and defend it, but you also need to surrender to your heart, okay? By doing so, you will become empowered like this Pope figure, like a high priest, by surrendering to it. The Moon, there's illusion present, and very much so with this Devil card and the Nine of Swords. It's hard for you to tell what is real and what is not, but the Moon is also a feminine energy, and so if you can integrate this shadow aspect of self and embrace the unknown and embrace, again, the water element here, you're becoming a high priest. You're becoming a pope in a good way, right? Like, I don't mean like the traditional understanding of the pope, who's often a brutal or oppressive leader, right? But this is also an echo of the 5. So the Pope will defend the church, even when it's unpopular, if he's an ethical Pope, right? He'll do things like what the Pope did recently when in the nativity scene, he wrapped the baby representing Jesus in the Palestinian, I always forget or worry that I'm going to pronounce the kufiyeh wrong, right? I have one on my altar. And so that was a bold move for the Pope, right? Not everybody agrees with that position, and it's a very catalytic war. But really, if we're just looking at facts, the Palestinian people have had genocide committed against them by the state of Israel. It's not about Jewish people. It's about the nation state of Israel becoming an oppressor, right? And so to be in this 5 of Swords is a noble cause for this Pope and for this High Priest. And that's what's important that you know. It's worth protecting the process that you're going through in spite of the uncertainty, because here's this realm of the water. It feels foreign to you. It feels like, what the, lunar energy? I don't know what that's about. I'm more like air element, right? I don't feel as comfortable in this world of the heart. But it's also bringing you into like a healthy feminine aspect of self with this Temperance. It's very similar to the last couple readings. So I recommend that you check those out. Yeah, wow, amazing. And then here's the 5 of Wands. So we have a 555. This is change. Change is coming. Surrender to it. Allow it. It's not something that you can control, but you can, if you embrace it, it's going to bring you in this amazing, beautiful energy, right, of the Lovers. What else? What are some other cards that I can pull now that we've got the tarot layout pretty well dialed in? What else to know about this for you, Divine Masculine? What else is important for you to know? Again, this is I'm coming back to this cornerstone card, which is the pip card of the Emperor shielding the Empress here. The coat of arms in the center represents the Empress to me, at least in this layout. So this is a very masculine, feminine process, but also it strikes me as a romantic relationship, but it can also be integrating your inner masculine and feminine, right? That are shown here in this Lovers card. It's heavenly, it's divinely guided here, okay? This is alchemy, spiritual alchemy as well. Really, really lovely energy. Oh my God, I have goosebumps. I just have a ton of goosebumps. So I know that I'm on track here for you. This message is coming through the way it's meant to, just like this ace said it would. I have tons of chills right now. What else should you know here? You can trust this. You can trust this. This is healing. You can trust this process. If you get in your mind, just know that that's often part of it. It feels foreign. It feels unfamiliar. The lunar landscape is not necessarily your world, the realm of water, but you can trust this. And you may have water in your chart that you can turn to. Like if you know your birth chart, you can consult your birth chart here and say, what is happening in my watery, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio? Do I have placements relative to those signs? And what, it's important. That might yield information for you. Keep your torch lit. Perfect. This 2 of Wands, right? The 7 of Wands, the 5 of Wands. Use this fire element here to help you get through it. It'll help balance out this air, and the water will as well. Okay. You can trust this process. Harness the power of poison to heal. Any of these doubts of the mind, any of the intense aspects of surrender, it's all for your healing. It's all right here with this Temperance card. It's all for the good. Even the poison, the wound, like a wounding dart to the heart is what I just saw in my mind's eye. It's only going to heal you, like poison can heal you, right? Like snake venom, right? We're in the year of the snake. The venom of the snake is healing as much as it is poison for us. It's really beautiful. This is a really powerful layout. I think I'm also going to do some ink blot scrying too, but I'm going to pull a couple oracle. God, I have chills again. Like I'm really on one here. This is like channeling through really strongly and powerfully for someone or for multiple people, right? You're on the right path. You really can trust this. Beautiful things are coming as a result of this, internally and externally. Honestly, this could even, okay, here, I didn't even say this yet. But with this Lovers card and this High Priest, this could signal a marriage. You might be marrying like a Temperance angel. Sometimes other readers will call the Temperance card an Earth angel card. You might feel like you're in love with a goddess, or you are in love with someone, and this is talking about a literal marriage. You might be marrying this person. Even if not, though, this is deeply happening for you on an internal process where you're alchemizing your inner masculine and feminine. It's really, really powerful. This is powerful as fuck, honestly. It's a super powerful reading. I have chills. That little resistance I was feeling before I sat down is just gone. It evaporated in the power of this spread here. It's really awesome. What else is important to know? For some reason it's saying just pull one of these cards. Usually I pull like 3 or 4, but I just got a pretty clear guidance to just pull one. Pull one of these cards. Dude, Between Worlds, you are right in it. That is the Death card if ever there is a Death card meaning. And it's also number 3, which corresponds to the Empress. So you're between worlds. I'm going to read Colette Baron Reid's meanings here because I like them. What does it say? But the first card is Yang, which is masculine. The second card is Yin, which is feminine. And the third card is Between Worlds, this card. So what does she say in her own words? Transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another. Temporary blindness, no man's land. Between the worlds is where you must go, where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. Yeah, that Nine of Swords. It's okay to say, I don't know what's happening right now. I feel disoriented. You're between worlds. That's why. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead, which is why it's important to surrender. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You can trust this. Keep the torch lit. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences, right? You're already in this king energy, even though it feels very raw and vulnerable for you. In this place between what was and what will be is a state of making and unmaking and making again, being reformed, reformation, reform, reforming. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. Boy, and that's really emphasized here with all this major arcana. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child, glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so and you will not be disappointed. This is a time to explore the new energy between you and another. It is not a moment for certainty, but rather for discovery and curiosity. You don't yet know if this will last forever, so allow yourself to explore who you are and what is reflected back to you. This relationship is meant to educate you about yourself. What do you need? What do you like or dislike? What values are important to you? You are in a critical phase of your relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. In your work, sometimes you try things that have worked for others, hoping that you too will be successful. When this symbol appears, it reminds you that sometimes the path to your prosperity is a gamble, and we talked about risk. Yeah. Win or lose, you can learn much from what comes of your wager. It's a good time to bet on your skills and talents in new and different arenas. Remain curious, and with the right combination of timing and luck, you will stumble upon something golden that will be unlike anything you've known before. It's so beautiful. I just love it. So I'm going to pull a couple ungame cards, and then I'll see if anything wants to come through the ink blots and in a scrying gaze. But first I'll pull a couple of these ungame cards, see if there's any helpful questions for the mind, because there's a lot of air present here, and maybe a couple of these questions will help the air confusion that you're feeling in the realm of the mind, or disorientation. It's okay to be disoriented. It's because you're between worlds. But I understand it can feel pretty intense. especially if it's like an ego death, right? That can be frightening even. It can be scary. You can even feel like you're going crazy when you're going through an ego death. It can be really, really, really intense. God, I pull this card all the time, but it might be really useful for multiple people in this collective. If you could have a committee of 3 people, living or dead, to help you make decisions, who would you choose? So that's a great question. If you're feeling like you need a touchstone, who are the great minds and hearts that you resonate with, that you admire, that you feel lived very well, right? Or lived ethically, or lived in this way, connected to the heart and the mind and the earth, right? Say something about apologizing. So there might be, maybe that's part of the surrender here, is taking a risk to initiate a conversation. It could be with somebody that you are fearful about whether they're going to be receptive. And maybe you might feel like there's an apology in order. You might feel like you are owed an apology and you're wondering, what will I do if I don't get the apology in this equation, right? It could be anything, but it has resonance here, the concept of apology, right? Dude, talk about taking risks. Often apologizing feels like a risk because you might think, well, they don't even want to hear from me. So if I reach out, like, it can feel very scary to give someone an apology. It can really be scary to think about or talk about, because it can often feel disempowering, especially if you weren't raised in a culture in your home that valued apology, that was about fighting and one-upmanship and getting back at one another. If you grew up in a family system that had a lot of that going on, apologizing can feel like losing face, and that's not the case at all. Apologizing is very healing. I mean, on the extreme end of that, though, over apologizing isn't good either. So in your case, it might be taking the risk not to apologize for once, for following your heart and feeling like you don't need to apologize for that, right? Or it could be the other way, that you've done some things that you feel you need to apologize for, and that's a really intense, vulnerable position, it feels to you, because it may be something that you haven't done a lot in your life or something, right? So now I'm going to just do a little bit of scrying here, and then we'll end the reading. Oh, I wanted to do some tiles too. I forgot to grab the bowl, but I will do that. So the first thing that's coming through here is an image from the dark crystal. It's the Skeksis creatures. And they were sort of considered the dark pole of that world, right, of fantasy. And I can't remember what the other figures were called, those wise ones. And in the end, they merged into a new being, right? That's that between worlds energy. So the Skeksis and the dark aspect of self is alchemizing within you. It's very intense what I'm seeing here. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but it's the first thing I saw was Skeksis. So the dark crystal might be a movie that you love, or if you've never watched it or haven't seen it in a while, it might have meaning for you, right? I'm also kind of seeing a woman's pelvis here, right? And this pelvic floor. So the sacral and root chakra might be helpful to you right now while you're going through this, is to do something that helps your root chakra, especially to help you feel grounded through this change. Yeah, my God. And then with the hips right here, the hip socket. Yeah. I'm also seeing angelfish, which are a tropical fish. So the tropics might have meaning for you, or you might be somebody that has an aquarium that has, and you have angelfish. I actually had a dream, an aquarium was in my dream last night. That's interesting. I didn't see angelfish necessarily, but now I'm seeing a snail. And what I'm noticing most about the snail are the little antennae. So that's going to help with maybe some of this air confusion, is to tune into your intuition, tune into the higher realms. It will help you get the clarity that you need. And snails also can be in water. They live and survive in water and in air and earth. So they're of that world. They're land cetaceans, right? But they can survive fully immersed in water. You can survive in the realm, fully immersed in the realm of your heart center, right? Especially with this Ace of Swords guiding you. You have clarity. You can trust it. Allow the fire that's gotten you to this point, your sacral energy, it's okay. Keep going, right? Allow it to heal you. Yeah, and I'm seeing a walking stick. And what I noticed almost right away, as soon as I saw the walking stick, was this devil, or not devil, but death card. This is actually a scythe. It's not a walking stick, but the way the card was, it looked like walking stick, boom, boom. And so he's in harmony with this. And in fact, there's a scene from the book Anna Karenina that has always stood out to me. And Levine, the main character, there's a scene, he's a worker. He likes to work with his hands. He's very close to the earth. He is out in a field of wheat with a scythe cutting down the wheat, and the passage is so beautiful, and it so captures being completely in the moment, surrendered to the process of the cutting, right? And the spiritual process of that is very captured in that passage in Anna Karenina. And I kept thinking about that passage. It's my favorite in the book. And over like the last 2 weeks, it keeps coming up, and I keep thinking I'm probably supposed to mention that in a reading, but then it didn't come through until now again, and in this reading. So I know it was meant to come through for this reading itself. And again, with this dog skeleton here, this death process. So hang on 1 second, and I'm going to go get my tiles. Let me just pause this. Okay. Dig in and work. So that's the work of the death process, the dying to the old way. It's work. It's going to require a little bit of work to keep your worries and fears in check a little bit, and remind yourself that you can trust this. You have clarity. This is actually a really beautiful process, like Levine scything and cutting the wheat, right? It's a beautiful passage in that book. It's a very meditative. He goes into flow, like he describes it in beautiful language of just the zen of the moment of cutting and being in harmony with his body, right? Dig in and work. It's super beautiful. Love. This is a process based in love. I knew with the Lover's card, right? So now let's do some of these tiles and see here. Gig, rig. Lots of R's and G's here. Grigio is wine, so grapes, grape harvest. Right? Agriculture keeps coming up, so agriculture might have meaning for you. There's no U, but Zit. I was reading about an old comic, Zits. You might know that comic. Pog. You might play Pogs. Poog. Goop. Ear. Eager. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end here. You might see some other... Yeah, I don't really see any more, though. Great. Grape. Yeah, grapes are here twice. So there might be something about Grigio or grapes that have meaning for you. And harvest, you might be somebody that works in a vineyard or came from a vineyard or has vineyard work in your history. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end that here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.